You mean to tell me you're okay with kids in school reading an award-winning book for, All Boys Aren't Blue, which is banned, by the way, go to the top, which is banned by how many schools?
29.
29 school districts, and you think it's okay? And she asked the question, in what context is a acceptable? And she says, let that be the decision of a parent? What the hell are you talking about?
All right, folks, we've got Patrick Bet-David from Valuetainment absolutely destroying Joy Reid over this latest debate on book bans and woke culture. But here's the real question. Are these even book bans or just local communities deciding what's appropriate for their kids? Let's dive in, because PBD isn't backing down, and honestly, neither should you. So here's the situation. Joy Reid from MSNBC is going all in defending this controversial book, All Boys Aren't Blue. Now, this book has some pretty explicit sexual content, and Patrick Bet-David is firing back hard. Joy Reid's argument? Oh, she's out here saying parents need to know the main character's name before they can decide if a book is appropriate. Like, that's going to change the fact that this book is being pushed on kids? Let's be real, folks. This isn't about knowing the main character's name. It's about whether sexual content like this belongs in schools. And local communities should absolutely have the right to say no.
So MSNBC, Joy Reid, and Moms of Liberty go at it. And you just have to see this exchange, because MSNBC Joy Reid criticized Tiffany Justice, co-founder of Moms of Liberty, over banning the memoir, All Boys Aren't Blue, from schools questioning for qualifications. What is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book, isn't appropriate for students to read? Justice responds by stating, I don't have to be an expert to know that are not appropriate for public schools, okay? I can read the rest of it for you, but I'll let you see the clip, Rob. If you have the clip, I'm sure Joy Reid's going to do a much better job than me reading this. Watch this clip here. And parents, I really want to know, how are you reacting to this exchange? Rob, is this the full clip? Go ahead and play the clip. Go ahead and play the clip.
What I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have... Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer
Please
for you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? Just, I mean, that's my question to you. Tell me what the context around or of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No, wait, we're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
So now you've asked me questions.
Sure.
I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
Well, who is the main character? What's the name of the main character in All Boys Aren't Blue?
What a question.
You're asking me right now.
You just gave me very
17,000
specific information about this book, so you're presenting yourself as somebody expert.
It's the gentleman.
Hold on. Who's the main character in the book?
The main character is the author.
What's his name?
George, I believe, is his first name.
Because you're giving me very specific information that is.
You're asking me to remember the name of an author.
You just remembered very specific names.
Joy.
Here's my question.
We're talking about
Here's my question.
You didn't answer my question.
I'm going to answer your
question. Great. I would love to hear that.
Absolutely.
Now, here's where I stand, and I think most of you will agree. This isn't about censorship. No one's saying parents can't get their hands on All Boys Aren't Blue or any other book for that matter. You can still go buy it, borrow it from the library, whatever. But the community, the parents, the taxpayers, they should decide what's appropriate in schools. It's called local control. And it's not just about this one book. It's about having a say in what's taught in our schools, whether it's politics, history, or anything else. And think about it. You don't like what's being taught? Go to your school board meetings, vote, and make your voice heard. But Joy Reid, she's out here acting like you need a PhD in literature to know what's inappropriate for kids. Ridiculous.
Well, I'm interviewing you and you're not interviewing me, so let's just make sure it's a conversation.
Okay.
So what I'm saying to you is that as you are not an expert, in this book,
I don't have to be an expert to know that dildos aren't appropriate for public school. I mean, come on, let's get real.
Is a full context story, as you said, of the author's experience.
I cannot believe
Why
this
is it your right or a Moms
TV.
for Liberty activist's right to say that a parent who wants their child to have access to this book, which gives a personal experience of this author,
MSNBC. This is embarrassing.
Why doesn't a liberal parent, for instance,
God.
or a parent of an LGBTQ kid, why don't they have a right for their child to just have access to this book? Why is it your right to say they can't?
So again, we're talking about.
And
Boy,
each
said you-
parent,
Boy, you said you let me
no.
answer.
Each parent has to decide what is appropriate for their child to read. So I want you to answer. I'm going to ask you
let's
one more
have
time.
Great.
What is your right to tell a parent who wants their child, who might feel seen by this story, why don't they have the right? Why don't they have the right as a parent to say, my child can have access to this book?
If a child feels seen by this story, that means that they have been the victim of a predator. That means that they have either been raped by a family member, they've experienced
and your proof
rape.
of that is
Oh
what?
my God. You just said that
What's
if
your
a child
proof of
feels
that?
seen by this story. What I'm saying, Joy,
you're now making assumptions
no,
about it.
Joy, but if a child has been raped, you should do a lot better than
she
put
can't
a
be
book
this.
in the library.
She can't be this ignorant.
You can pause at this point.
Okay, be honest with me. Do you think she's that stupid?
No,
Or
she's
this
not.
is
Wait, let me ask you this. Would you be okay with your kid reading a book with explicit sexual content in school? Drop a comment below because I'm betting most parents just want common sense decisions being made. You don't have to be an expert to know this stuff doesn't belong in the classroom. If the community says no, that's it. Patrick Bet-David has it right. Parents should have control over what's being taught. It's that simple.
By the way, let's not forget by the way, never trust anybody that's hair looks like this to make any decisions about anything about you and your kids. What she's doing right here is one of the reasons people like me always think that the left is always over-sexualizing kids and doesn't care about topics like this. And that's why everybody's always like, dude, what is she talking about? What is she even talking about? And let's not forget who Joy Reid is. She's the one, remember on the panel with Bill Maher when Ann Coulter was like, Donald Trump's the, what's it called? She made that face like, she's an idiot. There's no way she could think like
Tom,
this.
when you hear this logically, when you hear this, a host of a brand, MSNBC, saying it's okay for a book with those and how do you process this as a parent, Tom?
So Joy Reid is a pathetic mouthpiece of the left that wants children and wants to make sure that onboarding and grooming materials are present on the shelves of libraries and public schools. It's as simple as that. They want the stuff on there. They want the progressive kids. That's the purpose here. Now, I happen to think that this woman could have done better for herself. I would have known the author. I would have known his date of birth. I would have known the name of the publisher, and I would have fired back at her pretty hard on those. So I think she could have been a little bit more informed and kind of fought back against it. But Joy Reid's whole angle here is to discredit her. That's all she's trying to do. She was not arguing even for the book. She's just trying to discredit the other side. I'm interviewing you. You're not interviewing me, meaning I'm here to ask a bunch of questions to discredit you. But all I see is a mouthpiece for the left to advocate to putting this stuff on the shelves in public schools to allow kids to have access to it, to act on their curiosities or act on their depression.
Adam.
That's her job here.
Adam.
Look, it's becoming clearer and clearer who she is. You know, she's going to reap what she sows. I just Googled Joy Reid just to kind of see what's popping up. If you Google Joy Reid, do it right now. The first thing that pops up is Joy Reid strap-on. So congratulations, Joy. This is now the word associated
Don't
with
Google
your name.
strap on, Robert.
Is that a
No,
wait a minute?
just Joy
I
Reid.
was
That's the
about
first thing
to
that
Google
pops
strap
up.
on Joy Reid.
The second thing that pops up is Joy Reid hair, and I realized where have I seen this hair before? And it's one of our favorite movies over here, Rob. If you could pull that up, we saw her go full retard in Tropic Thunder. We recognize that hairdo, and you know they said, "Make me." Yeah,
I knew
they
it.
said, you know, never go full retard over here. But you know, I also found out that Joy has 3 kids, and she's married. I thought she might have been a lesbian. I don't know. But she's got 3 kids, so I want to know if she's going to let her kid.
And here's where Joy Reid's argument completely falls apart. She's grilling moms for liberty and parents, asking them to recite book details like it even matters. Newsflash, parents don't need to memorize book titles or characters. The issue is the sexual content in these books being shown to kids in schools. That's why Patrick Bet-David and Valuetainment are right to push back. It's not about banning anything. It's about protecting kids and letting local communities decide what's best. And let's not forget, the majority of parents aren't glued to MSNBC or following the latest woke trend. They just want to make sure their kids aren't being shown inappropriate content. It's parental control, plain and simple. Joy Reid is just out here trying to complicate something that's honestly common sense.
Read this book. I want to know if she's encouraging her kids to enjoy this type of lifestyle.
The youngest child that she has is 24 years old. So if her child was in elementary or middle school, that was, 15 years ago before this was, prevalent for most schools to have these types of books.
Her youngest child is 24. How old is she? Jesus. Anyway, good for her. But she's just an absolute shell of whatever's happening
I'm actually wanting to talk real substance here. Forget about you calling her idiot or shill or this and that. Tom, we'll come back to Tom. You found something awesome. Hang tight. We'll come to you, Tom. So forget about what she is and all the name calling. The average parent who doesn't follow politics closely is 80% of parents. 80% of parents don't care about politics. They don't follow it. They don't turn on CNN. They don't turn on Fox. They don't turn on MSNBC. They don't turn these things on. Maybe they get the news as it gets a little bit closer to the election cycle, maybe a little bit, but they're watching a Netflix show at night. They're watching a series at night. They're watching something like that at night. You mean to tell me you're okay with kids in school reading an award-winning book for, All Boys Aren't Blue, which is banned, by the way, go to the top, which is banned by how many schools?
29.
29 school districts, and you think it's okay? And she asked the question, in what context is a strap-on acceptable? And she says, let that be the decision of a parent? What the hell are you?
If you're with me on this, do me a favor, smash that like button and subscribe. Let's keep this conversation going because Patrick Bet David is right. Communities should have control over their schools. Let me know in the comments. Should local parents be deciding what books are in schools, or are we going to let MSNBC and the woke crowd run the show? At the end of the day, this isn't about book bans. This is about local communities having the final say on what's appropriate in schools. Whether it's this book or any other topic, be it politics, history, or something else, parents and taxpayers should be in control. If a community decides a book with sexual content doesn't belong in their schools, that's the end of it. No one's saying you can't get the book elsewhere, just not in school where kids are involved. And Patrick Bet David absolutely nails it. He's standing up for parental rights and local control. Meanwhile, Joy Reid's woke argument is just falling apart. The community knows what's best, and they should be the ones making the call. Let me know what you think. Are parents and communities right to have the final say in schools, or should this be decided by people like Joy Reid and MSNBC? I think we already know the answer.